Imagine getting an email straight from GitHub's notification system, the one you've trusted for years. Would you even think twice before clicking on it? That is exactly what attackers are banking on, and it seems to be working. I'm Ax Sharma, technology reporter and security researcher. In this episode of Security Report, we are looking at something worrying. Legitimate platforms being abused to send phishing emails. So whereas previously you'd see phishing emails which were clearly sent from lookalike or fake domains, these phishing emails come from legitimate platforms such as GitHub, making them look 100% authentic. So let's start with the most recent discovery reported on Bleeping Computer. As you can see, attackers exploited GitHub's inbuilt notification system to send phishing emails by pretending to be Combinator, which is a startup accelerator. If you look at this media report from Bill Toulas, GitHub notifications have been abused to impersonate Combinator for crypto theft. So yes, there's a massive phishing campaign targeting GitHub users with cryptocurrency drainers delivered via fake invitations to the Combinator program. As you may know, Combinator is a startup accelerator and funding startups and providing mentorship to their projects. And obviously Combinator Hacker News is a fairly popular forum where people discuss issues and related to technology. There's all kinds of new cool things posted on there daily. So this is also where people started talking about these emails, and further it was brought to light on X, formerly Twitter, by the software engineer Shreyas Medidoti. I hope I said that right. That there's basically these phishing emails being sent. They look like they come from Combinator, but they're actually just phishing. And look, they're trying to get into your crypto wallet, these phishing domains. I'm really passionate about this topic because when you look at the email itself, this is not coming from a phishing domain. It literally says notifications@github.com at the top, right? And we have also, this is not the first time this has happened. We have seen similar things before, like this GitHub Scanner campaign, which I'll explain in a bit, that I had reported on in 2024. Same thing. It's actually coming from GitHub, not like a phishing domain. And that's what makes the lure so much more effective. Because phishing emails often fail the security checks like DKIM, SPF, and DMARC. But because these emails are coming from a legitimate domain like github.com, they'll pass all these checks, arrive right in your inbox. And the way attackers conduct these attacks, it's actually fairly straightforward. So let's take a look at the GitHub Scanner campaign from 2024. My colleague Cody Nash had pinged me about this. He got this email, and so did so many others. I guess he was subscribed to this repository that protects AI exploits. So he got this email, important security vulnerability detected in your repository. And it looks like, it's coming from GitHub. So as if somebody at GitHub sent you an alert saying that a security vulnerability has been found in your repository, please patch it. You'll click this domain github-scanner.com, which has got nothing to do with GitHub. And obviously that was a phishing page. This one shows a CAPTCHA, verify you're a human. But if my memory serves right, this was showing different things based on where you're based and what it intends on doing. Maybe it'll collect your phishing credentials. The one screen presented to me, it was as soon as you click I'm not a robot, a JavaScript code in background would copy malicious code onto your clipboard, and then you'd be advised to run this button the Windows key plus R, which will open the run command, right? And then press Control V, basically pasting the malicious input into it. And once you've pressed enter, basically this another script, download.txt, would be fetched from github-scanner.com. Again, there's more details in the article itself at the time, and this basically it'll run malicious code on your system. And I think somebody also suggested this was a Luma info stealer. Yeah. So the way attackers did this was very clever, using GitHub issues. They would go in a repository and open a new issue. As you know, anyone can open a new issue in a GitHub repository. So they would just be going in any of these repositories whose users or maintainers they want to target, open a new issue with their malicious links. And as soon as they would do that, users would start getting these emails. And as you can see here, there are several domains associated with this campaign. It's not just a one-off GitHub-Scanner. That was just the initial domain you'd click on, but these were using other domains to download malware or using that as C2, command and control server. Prior to that, in 2024, just around April 2024, this another report came out. Attackers were abusing GitHub's comment feature to attach a file to a repository. For example, they're commenting on a GitHub repository, right, on an issue page or something else, a part of the I don't know, a diff, a commit, they're commenting on it, and they'll attach a file. So this file URL will be generated by GitHub CDN to have this kind of structure, like github.com/microsoft/vcpkg, if it's the Microsoft repo that's being targeted. So to an end user, it would look like whatever is hosted, like this GitLab zip or Cheater Pro zip, they're hosted on Microsoft's source code repository, but that's not the case. Such a clever attack. This was the case in 2024. And then we find other platforms like GitLab are also affected by the same flaw. Essentially, you can abuse GitLab in a similar way where you can comment on a GitLab source code repo, attach a file using their comment feature, for example, and it would have this same URL structure. So if I was to go on GitLab and open up like Inkscape's or Wireshark's source code repository and attach a file there, using the comment feature or one of those features, like usually comment feature lets you attach a file, right? The file would get the same URL structure, like gitlab.com/wireshark/wireshark. So it feels like this uploaded file exists on the Wireshark source code repository itself. But it's a bit misleading because these files are stored in a CDN, but they're given the Wireshark like this kind of a URL structure. So the end user may actually think that this is part of the Wireshark project, but it may actually be malware. In the past, this is how GitHub and GitLab could have been abused to publish malware. But now we see it's also being used in phishing attacks. And look, it did confuse a lot of users. Got this weird message from a GitHub bot. Next step, to confirm your preliminary registration and secure eligibility, please verify your wallet through Y Combinator. This step ensures fairness, safeguards, and you can see like the language and stuff. But I think the other Y Combinator thread, if we look at it, it has more information. Like, look at the repositories, the structures they use. Somebody creates a fake Y Combinator repository on GitHub, missing an R. Just variations of spellings of Y Combinator. So naturally, when a user gets, somebody creates these repositories and then uses the GitHub's notification system to send emails to users. So naturally, when they see an email like this, it's coming from GitHub and look like YC Combinator. That could have been a typo. Like, people may be more forgiving, even if there are typos in a phishing email like this, because it is like a legitimately structured email that originates from GitHub, even if it has a typo. And like I said in the beginning, this passes all security checks that normally catch phishing emails. So the links inside these notifications then lead to code repositories. Their target was to steal your cryptocurrency by prompting you to link your wallet and then, siphon off your crypto. The power of this attack lies in trust. When an email is sent from GitHub's own infrastructure, well, first of all, users are conditioned to just click GitHub links or like links in an email originating from a domain they trust right away. They're not going to think twice. And secondly, like I said, security filters will let these emails through. They pass all security checks. So in this case, attackers abuse legitimate channels, pull requests, email notifications to get their lure delivered. The common theme in all of these three different kinds of attacks I showed you, first this Y Combinator phishing emails, then prior to that, the GitHub Scanner campaign, and then GitHub and GitLab potentially being abused to upload malware into places that would look like these belong to like Microsoft's or Wireshark's official repositories, but that is not the case. The common theme is the same. This trend highlights a major blind spot in email security because it's no longer about spotting a dodgy domain or suspicious looking email. This kind of attack makes the traditional advice to check sender domain far less effective. The kind of advice we give to users during phishing trainings and simulation exercises, right? We say always check the sender domain. Do not click any links in the email if they look suspicious. In this case, the sender domain will clearly say at github.com. What if the link in the phishing email too, which is now sent through like github.com? So yes, the email looks legitimate, the sender looks legitimate, but what if the link in the email itself, it's not taking you to an attacker's domain right away. It's going through a GitHub issues page, which has further instructions, designed to infect you, whatever. That basically means the users will almost always click on these emails. Everything checks out about them. That is the real danger of these. So what can be done about it? I know, easier said than done because this seems like a challenging problem, but like trusted platforms like GitLab, GitHub could implement stricter rate limiting, abuse checks, and abuse detection with features like notifications, comments, and pull requests. Enterprises on their end can implement additional filtering or sandboxes for these kinds of emails, like even if it's a legitimate GitHub notification or GitLab notification, maybe sandbox it, run your own checks, and maybe like have a warning badge appear that these could still be phishing, even if everything checks out. And as for users, I have bad news, but even if all the security checks out, all the security checks pass on an email, it looks legitimate, it is legitimate. It can still be phishing. So you gotta be extra vigilant. I mean, this time it may have been GitHub, but I wouldn't be surprised if other platforms like Atlassian, Jira, or Slack, I don't even have to name names, it's everywhere. Like, we are using third-party tools for work collaboration all the time. And these legitimate features, which serve genuine use cases, can be abused to conduct these kinds of attacks. So you can never trust any emails coming to you without doing your due diligence. Attackers will keep turning these trusted channels against us. Let me know in the comments below if in your own organization you have witnessed similar kinds of attacks and abuses of legitimate platforms, and what else would you like me to focus on next? Because I think the security community needs to talk about these. If you found this breakdown helpful, subscribe to this channel so I can deliver you more real-world security threats out there without the hype. I'm Ax Sharma, and this is the Security Report.